working, we're currently working with Soleil in a program called Magic Dove, which is incredible. So welcome back to the students this week, and a warm welcome to our guests who are joining us for this evening for this special event, this special webinar. We'll see what the Chinese New Year of the Wood Snake has in store for us with Soleil. And I'd like to warmly welcome our presenter and guide for this evening's webinar, Soleil Satyam. Welcome to you, Soleil. I've worked with Soleil, I've worked with you for over 12 years now, I think, and I'm just in awe of your incredible dedication to continually developing all these incredible tools for our personal transformation and wellness. I wouldn't be without it, or you, in my life. And so with all your expertise and all your skills that have greatly impacted me and so many others in the world, and everything that you bring, I share. So it's just such a rich gift to have you. And so I'd love to pass the word to you. But before I do, just a couple of very practical things. For those of us that are who are working alongside you now in the Magic Doves, we will continue until our usual finish time, which in UK is 8:30, or it'll be 9:30 in Europe. And yeah, so this will be an hour webinar. And so those of us who are guests this evening will leave at the end of the hour. We'll have a wrapping up of that, a closure for that time, and then the rest of us will stay on for an extra half an hour tonight. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the chat, and I will look at those at the end, and we'll have an ongoing conversation. So just to say a couple of those practical things. So I'd like to pass the word to you, Soleil. Thank you so much for bringing us together again this evening.
Thank you, Nankara. Thank you so much for those words. I'm very blessed to have you on my side. Thank you, and to all of you. And thank you, everyone, for coming this evening. And to those of you that have signed up, it's an honor. I am very excited because today and yesterday we started Chinese New Year. And for me, Chinese New Year is more than something just from China. It's beyond a geographical location. It's connected to this ancestral wisdom that understood really the energy system of humans, the energy system of the planet, our connection to the stars, and created something that for me, after many years of studying it, makes a lot of sense. But it's not just the snake New Year that I wanted to bring to you. It's also the astrology and also the Ifa, the Afro-Cuban tradition, what they have to say about this year. I've to the best of my ability, I'll try to synthesize how I understand it after a lot of study, my own consultations, and listening to very wise people on the planet that have very good knowledge in these systems. I bring in a very humble way this wisdom to you because it is my understanding that these days, more than ever, we need maps. Maps to navigate a reality that is more crazier than ever. And without these maps, I don't know how people do it, really. I don't give the power to the maps, okay? The power is in us. The power is in me. The power is in you. But the maps give us and activate an inner compass where I can have context, yes? And context is everything. You need to contextualize in order to make decisions, to understand better, to listen better, to speak better. Context is everything. So let's start with the 26th of July 2024, where we started the rhythmic storm year in the Mayan calendar. Synthesizing that, we could speak about weeks, even years about this. But to synthesize it, let's say that this year, talking 26th of July 2024, 26th of July 2025, is a year of profound transformation. It's a year, what can I tell you about the storms? Where there's electricity, where there's fire, where there's movement, where there's wind, where there's water, where there's exhilaration, where you get really wet and you just want to go home, where there's a lot of things happening. Therefore, it's very interesting to understand that, no? The galactic archetypes, there are things like the archetypes of the tarot. In the Mayan calendar, there are archetypes connected to the kings. Kings are like signatures, yes? Like a storm. The storm is represented by the world changer, yes? So this year, the world changers, that archetype that lives in many of us, it's most likely that if you are here, you are one of them. Some other people are by birth, no, because they are storm people, like Nia, that is somewhere here. So the world changer understands that something needs to be moved in order for us to step into a new level of evolution. So this is the storm. Then we have the serpent. The serpent that has arrived after who? This is very important. She is arriving, yes, but let's see who was before. The dragon. The dragon, a mythological creature, it's a guardian. If something is the dragon, is a guardian. And the dragons live between thoughts. Very interesting, no? They live between thoughts, they live between worlds. They say that they inhabit the liminal spaces. So when we talk about dragons, we talk about power, we talk about creatures that can have the power to burn away and destroy dark entities, parasites, and many other things that might be blocking our well-being, even our own selves. So those spaces between thoughts that are so sacred, that should be filled by divine energy, sometimes are filled by garbage. The dragons eat away that garbage. The dragons fly or swim in those places and eat them away. We look at this depending on your level of understanding. This might be something completely new. This might be an angle you've never seen. This might be something that you already know. The point is, no, I believe in dragons or I don't believe in dragons. That would be a waste of your energy. Is understand that if we name dragons from a place of existence, I exist, and everything that is in my reality exists for me. And it's a complement of me. And I exist for it, and I'm a complement of it. Since that point, dragons exist for me, and I give them a meaning and a sense. I don't just make it up. It's not like a fantasy. We are not talking here about fantasy. We are talking something about the spiritual science of creating realities. And these beings, you can see Tibet, the Chinese, the Japanese. You can see the feathered serpent in the Mayan world. You can see it represented in mythical creatures for the Native Americans. These creatures exist in another plane. and they've been guardians and allies of humanity. So we close the year with these powerful beings providing us with power. It's been a year of fight for power, of loads of people losing their personal power, some other people working for their own personal power, and looking into power, which can be a very charged word, as a birthright for humanity. Yes, it's not my invention. Paramahansa Yogananda spoke extensively about the importance of having a spiritual power. José Argüelles Balún Botán also spoke about the power within spiritual intelligence. So here we are not just, following some fantasy. We are drawing the wisdom from the ancestors, from the ancient ones, and probably from the future ones, and activating it in us, so we are protected, we are empowered, we are glowing, and regardless of what's going on in the outside world, we feel anchored in our own personal space. So the dragon left and gives a space for the serpent. The serpent, the sisterhood, brotherhood it's got with the dragons is the Kundalini energy. The serpent is primal, yes, is elemental, is ancient, represents the mysteries, represents the feminine sexuality, masculine as well, but especially the feminine sexuality. Represents the psychic energy, the creative power. Imagine everything that she holds. She brings, I don't know if you read the email that I sent today, it was very simple, but for me it's very powerful to see that snakes always look splendid. Whether we like them or not, that's not even the point. I know some people, they cringe with the snakes, and we honor that. It's not the point. The point is how they look, how they dress, how they move, how they inhabit a realm that we cannot even understand, a realm of silence, a realm of presence, a realm of transmutation and transformation. The serpent represents sexual energy, and sexual energy can be something that can be very charged with stories. Sexual energy is what keeps us alive, is Kundalini, is that electric charge that we need to look for in order to move forward in our lives. Pranic energy is different. Prana is, many masters only ate and drank and filled themselves with prana. But the Kundalini is electric. I do this movement because it's coiled at the base of the spine, and then it moves up and brings that enlightenment, that electricity in the whole body. It's not an energy to mess with. That's why many people can have mental problems if they have an awakening of Kundalini and their body is not prepared, because it basically can fry you, can fry your brain, can fry your system. The Kundalini is the energy you charge your magic with, your rituals with, your life with. It's the energy that we need to look for always, because it burns viruses, bacteria, and parasites and other entities that might be in our system. So the serpent brings that, brings complexity. It's a complex year. It's not the easiest of years. I look in every possible oracle worth my study and my time, and it's not an easy year. It's complex. Within that complexity, it's very important that we find a space to meditate, to learn to be silent. And meditation, I don't mean just sitting. Meditation as little breaks through the day where I compose myself and I make sure I'm always in my body. It's crucial to be in our bodies. You cannot imagine a serpent dissociated, yes? So the idea is that we really need to be in our bodies. And I've mentioned this complexity, and I have to go to the Afro-Cuban system. It's a mathematical system called IFA, and I have to go to the IFA to really go deeper and synthesize how to name this complexity. This complexity is gonna gravitate towards negativity, okay? So, because what has come up is that the importance that this year it's gonna have the ancestors and the dead ones. In Africa, they say, if you want to live among the living, you need to learn from the dead. This year, the dead have extreme importance. Extreme importance between the dead, there can be entities of light and entities of darkness. They are all in a journey towards the light, and it's not good or bad. I'm not talking about the polarity. I'm talking about the reality that there are entities that are not in the light. And they are all activated, which means many things. But first of all is that it's very important that we do ancestral work always, but this year specifically. By ancestors, we mean here, if your parents are alive, they are not ancestors yet. They will be. Like you will be an ancestor of your children or an ancestor of your other younger family members if you haven't got children. But we will be ancestors. And these beings are ancestors, are the dead, and it's a year that we need to learn how to honor them. We need to do a lot of purification. I say this every year, but yes, this decade is a decade where we have to practice purification. It's important to come to terms with these ancestors. For some people, this might be easy. For some people, might not be. That's not even the point. The point is that if you have ancestors that you have not very good feelings about, or ancestors that haven't been honored in whatever religion you are part of, even if you don't practice any religion in any form, it's a good time to practice the rituals for the dead. So no, don't wait for Halloween, the 31st of October, please don't. It's something that really needs to be into account from the beginning of this year. It's important that, following the same line, that we take care of our children. And if it's not, if we haven't got children, those other children that we protect, even if our children are old, even if they are 20s, 30s, or the children of others that we care, nephews, nieces, best friends, partners. Why? Because it's very important right now that they get the values of the elders. part of why the ancestors are very upset are because their values are not being taken into account. It's because they are forgotten. It's because there's not enough ritual around them. I'm not talking here about superstition or religion. I'm talking here about something. I have it very integrated, so excuse me if you don't, and I need to explain it a little bit better. But the idea is that the ancestors need to be included. So people don't even remember how their grandparents were called or how their great-grandparents. It's a time to dive in, to know names. If, I don't know, it could be that you are an orphan and you don't know the names of anyone. That's okay. You just do ritual and place them in your shrine, in your altars, in the places at home that are designed for the ancestors, because that is going to give us a stronger backbone. It's going to support us. It's a time in our lives where we need to have a strong spiritual framework. What do I mean by framework? I mean by your spirit guides, but not my spirit guides wherever they are. No. We have to research, we need to find, if not with yourself, with mediums of people that would understand it, if not through different tools, to find out who is your spiritual framework. Who are your ancestors? Ancestors, blood ancestors, DNA ancestors, but you've got also Ori ancestors. Ori, O-R-I. Ori ancestors. What is that? Ori ancestors is through previous reincarnations, or maybe even future incarnations, you have ancestors of the soul. So you have these ancestors that take care of you from the soul. They are not connected to your biological mother, father, and so on. They are connected to your soul. They are incredibly important. Incredibly important. Some people in the group here, they can say, yes, how important they are. And I promise I speak from experience. It's a very different reality to have a spiritual framework that you feed, that you connect with, that you are aligned with, that to be alone in this reality without maps and without that support. And it's part of the amnesia that humanity has. Of course, these go against the materialist view, where I'm just this body, I die, and off we go, ciao. What I present you is what is called a spiritualist view, reality, where you understand this framework and you dive in the mystery of who you really are, who is really supporting you, and what is really your soul destiny. This year, the paths has been prophesied. The prophecy says that the pathways will be twisted. Okay? So when I look at that, I say, oh my God, what is that? What is behind it, and I cannot explain you, there are mathematics behind this, okay? So there's, the people who do the predictions, they have very refined methods to find this. So trust me on this one, and if you are super interested, I can give you more background. But the important thing to understand here is the paths will be twisted. Who twisted them? The ancestors, the dead ones. And you say, why? because we might be going against their values. We might be going against our destiny. And because I'm very practical, yeah, I like to know, okay, yes, but if I think of that, I might get paranoid. What's the solution to that? The solution to that is to purify in mind, first of all, body and soul. So you are truly aligned with our soul path. That you can have assistance, but it's only you that knows. Only your spirit guides and your ancestors that know. And what we do is purify ourselves so we have, like Jesus said in the Gospel of St. Thomas, eyes to see and ears to hear. So it's not for anyone to tell you what's going to happen, what's not for me or for anyone. Not for to practice astrology or feng shui terrorism, where people just make others very scared. This is not scary. This is adult life, and we are living in a time where things are crazy. And we need to bring common sense, peace, and other qualities that we have in our world, in our inner world, that we need to activate. We need to be witnesses of what is going on, and we need to practice, have the spiritual practice to feel that we are active in that. We cannot just have blinkers like the horses and not look at the reality that is surrounding us. That's absurd. A true spiritual practitioners of this time cannot afford to do that, especially if you have a job and children and clients and things to do. So the great news about this is that by the end of the year, my proposal to you is that we call in to be wiser. Wisdom has nothing to do really with knowledge. Knowledge is a plus, and spiritual knowledge is truly important. I give it a lot of importance, but my understanding is that the wisdom comes from silence, from experience, from reflection, and from inhabiting a place of existence where I practice what is to not take out of my system my parents, my children, my job, my religion, my beliefs, my story, and I, Sole, and I, Anamkara, exist. And I have a relationship with everything that I am in. This year, the wisdom is going to be tested. The paths are not going to be happy and flowy. And I cannot just feel victimized and cry in the corners forever. It's okay to feel, wow, the intensity, but we have to activate that Kundalini, and we need to be excited about life and about our destiny, about our lives and about our future. And that requires work, no? Because we need to be strong, spiritually strong in this. The serpent is spiritually strong. The serpent, when she shreds the skin, you can look in YouTube or something, she coils and she is like in total silence and is in and out, in and out. And to witness it is truly fascinating, because you can see there's something very internal happening. We need to learn from that. We can just not be in this masculine energy of the doing and the fire, and even the spiritual practice becomes something important to do, so I can be the serpent that is that. Excuse me. So the point here is, no, I have to, find new spaces, find that reptilian, it's a reptile, isn't it? That reptilian silence, the reptilian wisdom. Our reptilian brain and our more modern brain, they are in conflict. I need to go back to this reptilian brain. I need to see if my body is functioning on that reptilian level, that dorsal level, that level where my body can rest, where my body can digest. Many people look into digestion, but they don't look, are you metabolizing? It's a reptilian function. So to metabolize, to heal, to digest, to breathe, to all those things that our body has that intelligence, innate intelligence to do, a high percentage of the planet is not doing that properly. Look at the level of addiction to opiates. Opiates to sedate that reptilian function, because I'm totally high on anxiety. And this might be you, this might be me. So this year, the serpent brings that wisdom as well. Do I know how to rest? Have I got any addictions? Yes, I'm not talking about the typical, they are included, alcohol or drugs or whatever. Even spirituality, perfectionism, my phone. And how do I self-regulate with all of this, no? Reptilian functions. So sometimes these two brains are in conflict and they can cause severe damage. Why is being predicted by the neurological department of a very important hospital in Spain, specialized in neurology, that in 20 years, the cases of neurological illnesses are gonna triple. So you have to look into these two brains and the fight they are in. The modern brain wants to be like a machine, wants to be in the fire, and the head is on fire, and there's more and more problems with that. Do you imagine a serpent with a head on fire? No. That's why the serpent brings I cannot start expressing with the whole of the awe that I feel at what the gifts that she brings. But this requires an intention on your side to really tune into that frequency and say, wow, I'm going to take care of the most ancient part of myself. And I'm just gonna see that all my state is always in the best possible way. This doesn't mean that you are in an idealized place where you are zen and everything is perfect. But it means you are like the bamboo. You always know, you can bend and you always know how to come back to center. And it cannot be weeks later. It has to be constantly. I bring myself to myself. This is truly important and very interesting. This modern brain would be more here, but the whole modern brain with the reptilian brain, here is where the entities that can populate your mind and you think it's you and it's something else, they get here. This is the place where they hold on to. That's why it's so sacred and you need to protect this area. This is why when you do inner work or if you do healing to others, protect this area. How? Well, one thing that I love, we will give you the link to where to buy it, nothing to do with us. If you want to, and Ankara bought it in England, is cascarilla. Okay, this is made with eggshell. It's a palava to do it yourself, but maybe you are very that type of person and you wanna do it. But it's inexpensive, you can buy it, and what you can do is put a little bit on that side and a little bit here before doing work with others, before going to bed, when we wake up. Why? Because, like I say, we live in a place that is full of beings, and you need to learn to protect yourself to new levels. Some of you that have been working with me, we always review this subject, but there are, more levels, especially if you are very psychic, if you have mediumship, if you are if you are a very psychic person, you really need to do that. But I believe these days, all of us. So, some advices for the year. Avoid dark streets, dark places. Like say it's a new moon night and you are going for a walk with your dog and it's getting very dark and there's a forest. Don't go there. Yesterday in a class that I give here where I live, someone was saying that she was outside her house in a big garden and she felt very strong darkness outside. So this year is to avoid places that are dark. Because I know the other day I had to decide if to go somewhere through a dark alleyway or another pathway that was longer. I would normally go through the dark place because I'm not scared of that type of place, but I know this year those places are to avoid, so I just avoided it. So this is an advice. You do whatever you wish, no? But it's very good to listen to that. If you feel that type of darkness, like this woman yesterday outside your house or inside your house, light a candle. Light a candle, you can, protect it. Or if it's a part of your house that is a bit dark and weird, you can put one of those sense lights to pass by. But don't leave those places in the dark and just with that feeling. Act on it. Another thing that these dark places, if they are part of your property, they need is smoke. Okay? Smoke is very important because smoke, like they do in Tibet, in Tantra, in the Mayans, in the Native Americans, smoke feeds the spirit. It's like food for the spirit. So it's food, and you want to, there are practices, for example, in Tibetan Buddhism, where some, for example, that is the one that I do, that you light a lot of incense to feed the nagas and to feed the spirits on the other side. So when you're burning incense or sage, not Palo Santo, please, they are destroying the trees. So when you burn some of those, what you are doing, instead of just looking for a nice atmosphere or a nice smell, you are also feeding the spirits. So if your house feels heavy, you know that the smoke is feeding that. If you have a place in your house that is with pictures of your ancestors, that in all houses there should be, it's very good to put some incense to feed them. Now, say, in my case, for example, my grandmother died 6 years ago, and she had a very long-term illness. my mother and her siblings, they don't speak to each other. And as a result of, a very unfortunate family distress, the mass and things that should have been done in certain times haven't been done. This year is a good year, and I'm going to take the responsibility, because nobody is, to do that mass. Why? Because this Egun, in this case my grandmother, could be really upset and really making things difficult. It's how it works, really. So you honor them, you put a picture of them, or you write their name, and you feed them. Another thing that you can do is by yourself, if your family is not into these things, or I do it with my daughter, or I do it with my partner, is that you set the table, make the table, and make an extra plate for that ancestor that has been forgotten, that died in a tragedy, that was a black sheep. You make some food, and it's not that it's gonna live in your house or things like that. It's that you are acknowledging that person is part of the family constellation. Yes? You are acknowledging that person, you are giving that person food, you are blessing it, and that's it. You don't have to do it every meal or anything. But it's a thing that you do, and you acknowledge that person. The other day with someone, with a friend of mine, this ancestor of Ori, so she wasn't from his life, this current life, but she was from another lifetime. She had been his nursing mom. She had been someone that had protected him through lifetimes, and she really didn't feel that he wasn't taking care of her, or he wasn't listening to her. So what she wanted was to eat with him. She wanted a meal with him. She wanted to feel like that. And you don't have to see or feel anything. We don't have to make this like some scary movie, or don't go into this if you are not used to these things. It's very simple. You just put the plate, put the food, like someone that is hungry. Yes? That's why in the Tibetan talk about the hungry ghosts, because they can get very hungry, and they are not funny things. And you give them food, you acknowledge them, and you bless them. This is the least we can do for the dead, and the least we can do for our ancestors. This gives us blessings. This gives us prosperity. In the Africans, there's an Odu, like the Mayan kings, or one option out of 256. It's a very specific consciousness. And what they say about that Odu is that he was very, very distressed. There's a pataki, there's like a little tale about him. He was in a very distress. He had a lot of hunger. Nothing was good. Nothing was supporting his well-being. And suddenly he went to see the high priest. And the high priest said, "Do these offerings to your ancestors. You have forgotten your ancestors." And the man started doing all those offerings, and then he prepared an allotment with banana trees. And they say that the goddess of the waters came with the ancestors, and the following day he had big bananas and a whole plantation, in that allotment that he could sell and get very rich. What the tale is telling us is that the ancestors can make miracles for us, can make things happen. It's very interesting. In the Japanese movie Totoro, in Totoro, the little girls go to sleep and they put some acorns, and the spirit of the forest starts dancing in their dreams, and the acorn trees start growing and growing and growing, and it's that same energy that you have in Shintoism in Japan, that they say that the ancestors, the spirits, the good spirits, can make miracles happen for us. For me, this is not just a fairy tale, and it's not a fairy tale, this is a religious tale. For me, this is true. The ancestors truly bring gifts and presents and blessings. And if some of them were really bad, it doesn't matter. Because we might be very bad in this reality. We don't want anyone, all the generations to kind of, not have mercy on us. We need to have mercy and grace. And that's why this year the serpent brings this wisdom. So we are almost on time. And another thing in your house to do is to play music, drums and music, very important. Is to strategize like the spider holds its web, and it's always working on the web. The web is always nice and ready. Don't leave your web unattended. Be like the spider. The energy of the grandmother spider is very, very auspicious, and is about attending it. She is also very important this year. And I cannot highlight enough the values to our children. When you do things, think of the generations after us. I know many of you are millennials, but many of us are Generation X. And this is my last insight that I want to give to the Generation X and to everyone else that have Generation X in their lives, because we are the only generation that have one foot in the analogical world and one foot in the digital world. Our neuropathways developed in different way than the generations after, millennials or Gen Z. For many reasons, not because of time, I cannot explain. It's very important that this Generation X understand that their decision making will become very important this year, because our neuropathways, these 18 months are very, very important for Generation X and for the others to listen to Generation X. I think it's a very potent time. So I think that's all for today. We'll pass the word to Anamkara if she wants to ask any questions or anyone wants to write anything on the chat.
Thank you, Soleil. Thank you so much. It was really lovely to have that recap over the Dragon Year and really see how that's had the snake come into that whole context of us kind of claiming that personal power. I don't see any questions in the chat at the moment. Do I have any questions?
Well, think about it, and meanwhile, I would like to say that we have 2 courses starting. One is for people that have never done work with me, and it starts on the 17th, Monday, 17th of February, and it's about contextualizing from magic and esoteric and spiritual wisdom learning the keys of prosperity, learning to do rituals, to do offerings, and learning how to access your inner power, no? And for those who have worked with me, on the 13th of February, Thursday, we continue the work with the dove and the lion. That will be going deeper and deeper with the subjects we've seen tonight. And for the rest, on Monday 17th, it will be going deep into what we've seen tonight as well, and learning ways to be very powerful, strong, and healthy in these complex times, no?
Thank you, Sole. There is one question. Somebody's asking about the meal for the ancestors.
Yes.
What do we do with that meal afterwards?
You offer it, you take it, and you take it to a forest, or to your even garden somewhere where the animals or whatever. And if you don't want to just leave it outside, you just can bury it under the earth and say thank you, mother. Very good question. Thank you.
Thank you.
And of course, you don't put a super big plate, but you put like a medium-sized plate, with all that you have cooked, with all your love and everything, and it's a precious thing to do for that ancestor. And if there is not someone in particular, you can represent your ancestors in that plate, yes?
Okay, thank you. Lots of people saying thank you so much. That they more and more.
Thank you so much. I will send the recording, we will send the recording, and we will send the links. I really encourage you to do the courses with us. I think we are all very happy. We are almost 20 people in the course we are doing now. You have 1 hour and a half a week of teachings, a WhatsApp group that is an anchor for all of us, I think, no, Anamkara? Yes, and you get like one-to-one sessions with me, one monthly. And
about that is just the best. Well, it's not the best bit, but it's incredible.
yes, I think it's potent to be, and we explore your astrology, your insights. We really look into the powerful tools that we have and how to apply them to your life. I'm going to ask maybe, I see my friend Tessa that does the course with me. Tessa, would you like to say to the others how, I don't know, how the course works for you, how it's helped you? So it doesn't sound like self-promotion, but you've got the testimonial.
Yes, of course, Soleil.
Thank you.
I would love to say something about that. Yes, I know you now for a while, and I follow the courses with you and the group for such a long time already. And yes, I can say that, it's like this inner process, and with a lot of, you grow a lot. And I feel so much more self-empowerment, and a lot of reflection, a lot of purification, transformation. It's really sometimes a ride with going up and going down a little bit, but always towards the light. And yes, so the teachings are very profound and very also practical, and it's great to share with the group, because you always are in this group together, and so you learn a lot from each other. And so I can tell that it's really amazing, and I really wish for everyone this beautiful process to be in. So yes, thank you so much.
Thank you, Tessa. I have to say that everyone is of the same quality as Tessa, no? Tessa is a writer, a social worker, a healer, a galactic priestess. Yes, We have healers, we have scientists. I just saw Noor around. She's a scientist in Qatar, in the Middle East. We have Nia, who is a tattoo artist and a healer. Lucas and Janina, who are teachers. We have a dancer. We have Alice. So we have beautiful, beautiful people. Jack, who is an AI expert, and we have Julie, who is a business owner, Kirsty, yoga teacher, businesswoman. She's now created a healing center. So I'm very, very proud. I wouldn't be able to do this work without these people. They are incredible. We all learn from each other. I'm the first one that learns. And yes, if you want to be part of the family, I really encourage you to come and learn with us. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Soleil. Yeah, it definitely feels like a family. All journeying. What's that quote that you use a lot? And I keep forgetting it. Together we go. Together.
If you wanna go fast, go alone. And if you wanna go far, go together. Yes. I so believe that's Aquarius. Yes, that's the Aquarius group. We go together. It's not the time to do the solo journey. My name is Solitude. Solitude, no, it doesn't come from sun. It comes from, it's solitude. So I could be a very happy solo person, but I understand that the times require us to be in community, no? And not in a happy, but in a spiritual practice community that we all, encourage and hold each other. I think it's important these days, crucial.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for everybody that's joined us this evening. We're going to continue, those of us that are usually with you tonight, Soleil, we're going to continue for the next half hour. But if the others would like to leave us now, then we'll see you again in the future, I hope. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
So shall we all take like a couple of minutes to have a drink or something and we come back, yes?
Soleil, I have a question.
Yes, sure.
Are you going to pause the recording?
Yes, I'm going to do that. Thank you so much.